This SoonerScoop.com video is streaming in crystal clear 4K resolution on YouTube thanks to Enjoy Vision in Oklahoma City. From the big plays to life's everyday moments, see it all in sharp focus with LASIK at Enjoy Vision. Enjoy Vision. This is where Sooner Scoop LASIKs.
You know, Brent, the attention to detail this weekend, especially with Josh. You know Josh really well, but his offense with the chunk plays, all three receivers over 30 yards and things like that. You can't have the offsides on defense and things like that. So talk about the attention to defense.
Let me write that one down, James.
Huh?
Can't have the offsides on defense.
Noted. Welcome back, Eddie Radosevich, George Storia here for a William and Lauren practice report. Heard from Brent Venables, as you saw there, on Tuesday, as well as Ben Arbuckle. Talked to John Mateer on Monday night, as well as a number of Oklahoma players that we will get into here on a practice report. But George, welcome back. How are we, sir?
Great. Another big week here in Norman, going to Knoxville. So it was good to catch up with Brent Venables and Ben Arbuckle, as well as some of the players last night. It was good hearing from John Mateer.
Yeah.
I thought he was great.
There's a lot of talk about John Mateer and how he's going to get through this, obviously the next
Some are saying
weeks,
he's the worst quarterback in the country. That's what some are saying.
Some are saying that? Who are those some?
I don't know. You clearly haven't logged on to Facebook lately.
Interesting. Well, I've been staying away from Facebook. I just retweeted something from Facebook that I thought was real good. Real good. Just go to my Twitter timeline if you want to find it. All right, let's get into it because there is a lot that goes into this. Oklahoma obviously coming off of a somewhat embarrassing performance offensively. We talked about John Mateer on the Eskridge Lexus postgame podcast, as well as yesterday on the game day preview with Josh McCuistion. Before we do get to that, though, let us tell you about our good friends over at William & Lauren. As the official custom clothier of OU football, William & Lauren outfits your favorite OU players in custom suits that boost their confidence off the field to match their confidence on the field. Their perfectly tailored clothing ensures every suitor stands out in comfort and style at prices that make luxury accessible. Visit William & Lauren in Oklahoma City or online at williamandlauren.com. Also have the stop in the 918 for our friends up in Tulsa, brick and mortar. All you got to do is go to online at williamandlauren.com. Dress like a champion and make your style as legendary as Oklahoma football. Thank you to our good friends over at William & Lauren. They outfitted George Stoia on his wedding day.
I love William and Lauren.
Have you put the suit back on? You need to find a reason to put the suit back on.
I need another wedding to go to.
Hear me out. Is Halloween coming up on Friday? We'll be in Knoxville. Maybe wear it on the plane. Maybe bring it up, or maybe we should go in as a duo. We need to start thinking of duo costumes that we could wear to the game on Saturday in Knoxville.
I can only imagine what you could come up with for that.
What if? And I'm just throwing it out there. What if I went, well, I don't know if we'd get in trouble. I was thinking of something.
I know.
I'll just put it out there. Maybe George could be Scott Peterson. I'd be the other. I'd be the other part of the couple, if you catch my drift. All right, we will continue on. John Mateer, got to play better.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's kind of the bottom line for this team moving forward, because I still believe in this defense. They didn't play the best game the other day, and they're going to face another really great offense, and we'll dive into a lot of that stuff when we get into the game day preview later this week. But I think for this week, I think a lot of OU fans are just like, what's going on with John Mateer?
Right.
And we got to kind of speak to him last night, and I thought he was really candid in a lot of the answers he gave, and just talked about some of the poor decision-making that he's had. And then, kind of following up today with Ben Arbuckle and Brent Venables about how they can help him with some of that stuff, because I do think that he was making better decisions earlier in the year, and I think he made some mistakes early in the year, but not like this. And so I just wonder, what can you do in practice and trying to fix some of these issues?
It's interesting too, and we heard from Brent Venables on Monday night on its coach's show. Obviously, while we were talking to John Mateer, he's been pretty vocal, I would say, about his criticism of John and having to play better. I think that's pretty obvious. But I do think that he's a veteran player, just in terms of, I think Brent knows that he can kind of handle a little bit of the criticism, and it's a little bit of tough love, if you will.
Yeah, and I think Brent knows he's an important leader on this team. He takes that criticism to heart, and I think that he doesn't, view it as, his coach, being too harsh on him.
Sure.
I think he views it as like, yeah, I have to be better. And, I think that Brent knows that. I think everybody inside that building knows that if John Mateer plays better, they're going to have a lot better chance to win these games. And that includes Mateer himself. So again, I think it was kind of good to hear from them. And then you just hope that everything they're saying, translates to the field this week.
Here is Brent Venables as well as Ben Arbuckle, John Mateer, just kind of talking about getting over what these last couple of weeks have been. Obviously, the quarterback play has not been up to snuff.
Certainly everything goes through the quarterback. I've said this a lot. You playing good people, you can't have a quarterback that plays poorly and expect to win. But you don't have to play perfect and win either. You just have to be able to manage the game well. And, for the most part, he's done a really good job of that. We're 6-2. The success that we've had have been because he's done a great job of playing well at all the right times. And then again, collectively around him, we gotta play better as well to help him.
In this league, there's always a couple plays that you want back, and that's the margin of the game. And it was a close game, obviously, but in the end, I just didn't get it done, and it hurt to watch and sucks. But got to move forward. Yeah, it just shows up that we've already done it. We've already, had a little disappointment, and we've been able to come back and dominate. So just get right back to it. We got a game on Saturday if we're ready or not. So we got to be ready.
Before the injury, though, you read games so well. Mm-hmm. Since the injury, it's been a little more of a problem because you brought it up that you're not seeing the field as well. Is that because the injury, you're afraid you can't make that throw, or is it just you just didn't see it?
I don't think any. It's definitely not my thumb. I'll tell you that, and I'll stand by that. My thumb is perfectly fine. I think there's just ups and downs of the flows of the game, and I'm a human. I'm not perfect, So there's good times, there's bad times, and not to say it's bad. I don't really think it's that bad. Like, I'm not seeing the field. It's not like crucial. It's okay. I think it's not just like I don't know what I'm looking at. So I don't want to put that perspective out there. I'm still confident in what I'm looking at, and there's just a couple that I missed. And that happens. It just happened to be a bad time. So that's all it was.
It's no secret, and John said it. He didn't play his best ball, but I don't think that's all on John. Where there are moments where you'd like for him to be on point and deliver the ball where it needs to, or make the toss whenever he needs to. Absolutely, but I also look at myself in the mirror whenever that happens. What did I not do throughout the week to get connected in that? And so, John knows that he has to play better, but I don't think in any way, shape, or form his confidence is just shaken. He didn't play his best. He knows that. I know that. We all know that. He didn't play his best, but the way that he came in Sunday and came in Monday and owned the mistakes that he had. I mean, he didn't try to make excuses for things. He didn't do that. He just owned it and said, I got to be better. And that's the only thing you can do. I mean, looking at myself too, I had to look at myself and say, I got to be better, and so I don't think his confidence is shaken at all. He's a mature kid. He's a tough kid, and just how he's been Sunday and Monday with our walkthrough practice yesterday, he was really, really good. And so excited to see him throughout this week of work and excited to see him play on Saturday.
But my biggest role is in trying to support him and help him, manage the responsibility from a leadership standpoint. And I'm always talking with all of our players just about, the lens that you need to have from an offensive and defensive perspective at their, relative to their positions.
It seemed like everybody on the outside obviously is freaking out a little bit. I think that, there's been a lot of eggs put in the basket of John Mateer. He's certainly not performing well over the last couple of weeks. It doesn't get the feeling, though, just in talking to John on Monday night and then Brent and Ben Arbuckle on Tuesday, that anybody's really freaking out in the Switzer Center as much as it is. Like, this isn't a situation from last year when you're working with Jackson Arnold and having to navigate those waters as opposed to somebody like John Mateer. We've seen it. He's done it. How do you unlock that?
Yeah, and I think that's the one thing, and you heard Brent kind of say it. It's like John is a large reason why they've lost 2 games. He's also the main reason why they've won 6 games,
sure.
Right? Like, we've seen him play really good football at times, and even in the game this past weekend, he had really good moments. I mean, early in that game, he was incredibly sharp. And I know the Isaiah Satania touchdown, Jaron Canick's wide open on that, but you still have to give credit Mateer for directing traffic and getting that ball to Satania and making that play. And he made some other plays early in that game that, if you can just continue that throughout, then you can really have something. And so getting back to that, unlocking that, like you said, and I think that they're not hitting the panic button. And I think that's kind of a good thing. Like if they were hitting the panic button, that'd be bad. I think last year they had to hit the panic button pretty quickly. And they're not there yet with John Mateer. And I think that that's somewhat a good thing, is like, they're like, hey, we can fix this. I just need to be better in these certain areas, whether that's Brent Arbuckle and play calling or John Mateer and just seeing the field better.
Certainly seems like, if there were like two cliche lines coming out of Tuesday, it's eyes and footwork.
Yeah.
Certainly in something that Brent Arbuckle, as a 30-year-old offense coordinator now, is certainly going to have to navigate John Mateer through, but certainly feels like it's a comfortable thing, and that he knows him probably better than anybody in this, for sure in this state.
And it's a good reminder too that he's a young guy that's still developing. Sure. Like it's not that he can't get better, right? This isn't the finished product for John Mateer. Like he's gonna get better. It's how much better can he get quickly? I think is the question now, because these 4 games obviously are extremely tough, and this week going to Tennessee is going to be very difficult. And so that's where I think Brent Arbuckle and John Kuzieski and even Brent Venables come into play. How can you help your quarterback feel more comfortable, give him some easy throws, maybe simplify things even more if you can? All of those things, I think it's up to the coaches as much as it is to Mateer to get him playing, better football.
Here is a little bit more from John Mateer on Monday night after practice, as well as Brent Arbuckle on Tuesday.
I mean, I think they do a great job, and they coached me through it, and we've had conversations yesterday, today, and Saturday, and about all of us moving forward together. I'm not obviously not gonna point a finger. It's definitely not his fault. I think he called a good game, and I think he put us in good situations, and the players I didn't execute, so it makes everybody look bad, and that's all it is.
You talked about your eyes and maybe not seeing the field as well as you maybe should be. Is it a confidence thing? Does the thumb play into that at all?
No, I don't think any of it plays into it. I think in this offense, you got to be real disciplined to where your eyes go and what you see, and it's pretty simple. It's just more simple offense than a lot of that's around college football, and so I need to just get it done, be more disciplined to my reads and my eyes. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing, is being disciplined with your eyes and your footwork. Your eyes and your footwork, they win, and that's in any offense. That's, my system, anybody's system. Eyes and footwork at the quarterback position, they always win, and timing wins, but that goes back to your eyes and footwork. And the best way that I can help him is at practice, and it's just demanding it out of him, and demanding perfection. You're never going to get it, but just demanding it. Hey, this drop, be perfect with it. Hey, it's covered over there. Get your eyes off of it quicker. It's fine. Go on to the next one. If it's not there, don't hang on to it trying to make something happen. And that's how I can be better for him, specifically out at the practice field. But, the other way I can be better for him is, again, always instilling confidence in him, always instilling belief in him. And he has no shortage of confidence. He knows that myself and Coach Venables believe in him to the nth degree. But, just reminding him of that, but demanding excellence at practice.
You had critics at Washington State at times and stuff, but at Oklahoma, I'm sure it's a different level of noise that sometimes you maybe hear or don't hear. But have you learned anything about yourself and kind of blocking out that noise or taking on that criticism?
Yeah, I mean, you learn something about yourself every season, and I think that's something I've learned. Last year wasn't perfect, and this year it hasn't been perfect, and that's football, and that's okay. But I'm still 21 years old. I'm learning myself as a man and as a Christian, and so yeah, I've learned a lot, and it's okay. I think the noise, I've done a good job blocking it out, and that's not what bothers me. It's the product on the field.
Take a quick break from the practice report to tell you about our good friends over at Tushy. This is a company that you've had experience with. Let me tell you a little bit more about Tushy. All right? A-hole is only a dirty word if you wipe. Call the ref a skid mark. How about that? We could do that. We could do so. All you got to do is tell tell us about your experience.
I don't get any skid marks because I have Tushy in my house.
We'll flip that.
And it's great though, like super easy to install. I think that part was huge as well, but also just super effective. It keeps me clean.
Tushy is the everyday luxury bidet that instantly transforms your bathroom's habits and bottom health for life. Now, what we're going to ask you to do is, all you got to do is go to hellotushy.com, use the promo code SooterScoop. That is hellotushy.com with the promo code SooterScoop, and get your bidet today. 10% off your first bidet order at hellotushy.com with the promo code SooterScoop. We can also tell you about our good friends over at Lucy. We've been doing so all year here on the SooterScoop.com YouTube channel. Lucy, the 100% pure nicotine, always tobacco free. You can set yourself up with a subscription and have Lucy delivered straight to your door. Plenty of flavors to choose from, plenty of sizes to choose from, milligram sizes. And it's become a staple here at the SooterScoop.com offices. All you got to do is go to lucy.co/SooterScoop and use promo code SooterScoop to get 20% off your first order. Lucy has a 30-day refund policy if you change your mind. And here comes the fine print. We must tell you, Lucy products are only for adults of legal age, and every order is age verified. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. And for more from Brent Venables on Tuesday, we throw it back. Certainly a lot of people out there, I think, have already kind of thrown away John Mateer, but I don't think that we're there quite yet.
Well, no, and I look, we'll have to see how he plays these last 4 games, but I do think it's funny sometimes when I see some of the comments that are like, well, they got to go look in the portal for a better quarterback. Like, who are you getting? Like, look around college football.
Sure.
There's very few great quarterbacks, and I know everybody wants to point to Ole Miss's quarterback, and he was awesome. Ole Miss got extremely lucky with him, and he wasn't even their starter to start the season.
Sure.
So it's not like these guys are just out there. And I still think that we've seen Mateer be a really good quarterback. I think he's got the talent to be a really good quarterback, and we've seen him dissect a field and run an offense at a high level and in key moments. And so I think you just kind of have to live and die by him the rest of the year and hope that he can continue to get better. And then the other thing is if he comes back next year, I would expect him to be a much improved player.
Life comes at you fast, right?
Yeah.
I think Brian Kelly found out about that on Sunday. Certainly John Mateer, and leaving that Auburn game, I just remember all the kind of the narratives and the talking points that were out there on John and this Oklahoma offense, that this thing was back. He was going to be in New York City, and then obviously the injury happened, and he's got to find something, get back to whatever that may be. The irony, though, of an Oklahoma offense that's struggling at the quarterback position, it certainly bled somewhat into the quarterback run game. But then you say out of one side of the mouth that that's not good, but they have found something in the run game. 2 consecutive weeks, 100-yard rushers, Tory Blaylock against South Carolina. Xavier Robinson obviously burst onto the scene on Saturday against Ole Miss. So it's not like they can't find anything in the run game, because maybe they have found something with the running backs. You asked Ben Arbuckle about that today, just in terms of the quarterback run game specifically.
Yeah, it's kind of fascinating that to begin the year, the only real run game that they had was the quarterback run game. Now it's flipped, and now they can't run the ball with Mateer at all. I mean, I think the last 3 weeks, they've rushed for less. I think he's rushed for less than like 50 total yards or something crazy. It's not been good.
13 for 31 on Saturday, and that ended up being 17 net with the sack yardage.
Yeah, it's not good. And they got to figure that out. And I'm not saying they need to run him as much as they are. They probably need to run him less, especially the way that Xavier Robinson and Tory Blaylock have run the last couple of weeks. But it is a part of the offense that can open things up. And we've seen Mateer be really good at it. I don't know if he's dealing with an injury there. I know that you and I have kind of talked about maybe something's going on with his knee. I'm not sure. He's not really said there's a problem. He had a really good scramble on Saturday that he looked totally fine on that play. I think he got like 15 yards on it, but they got to figure that out, or just continue to hand the ball off to Xavier Robinson. I feel like we all think that he should have got more carries late in that game, and I think even Ben Arbuckle would agree that they kind of screwed that up and not giving him more carries the way he was running the football. So they got to find something, and I still think the quarterback run game is going to be a part of this offense, but maybe not as big as it was at the start of the season.
And some of it, as you'll hear from Ben Arbuckle, could just be decision-making on Mateer's part. I think that there's a sense of almost like his brain's a little bit in a pretzel right now with everything that is being thrown his way and what's being asked of him, obviously. He signed up for it. Here is Ben Arbuckle talking about the quarterback run game as well as some success they found with the running backs, as well as Xavier Robinson, who has looked very good over the last couple weeks with the football in his hands.
Run game was so effective for you guys early in the season. It hasn't been the last few weeks. Why do you think it hasn't been as effective, and how important is it getting that going again, being a part of this offense?
Yeah, I think a few things go into that. I think maybe one thing could be whether it's the decision making from John on a certain few things, or it can be just execution in the block itself. But also at the same time, as coaches, we have to continue to find ways to make it effective for them, because it is a tool that can be utilized. I mean, a lot of teams around the country utilize it. It's a tool that can be utilized. We just have to keep on finding ways to make it as successful as possible, put these kids in position to be successful and play and execute with the detail that requires for any play to work. And so just something that we have to continue demanding, straining on, and get rolling.
2 straight weeks have been tailbacks gone over 100 yards. Do you think you've turned the corner on the running game and found things you can build off of and know that's something you can count on week to week?
I think you can say that there's a lot of stuff to build on, and it all just comes down to a mindset and a certain physicality that you have. And the kids the young men have done a great job of bringing it every week in practice and our inside drill and being intentional with it and taking the field with the intent of we're going to move somebody. So absolutely, it's something that you can build on. It's been nice to get it going a little bit, but it ain't good enough. It's not. We got to keep on getting better at it. It's never going to be good enough. I mean, there's always things that we can do better, especially in that department of running the ball as a whole offensive unit. And so it's taking that, by the horns and attacking it every single day in practice and watching it show up on game day.
Xavier Robinson had a real stellar game, especially that third quarter. How significant is it to have him rolling, and will we see a lot of him in the future? Yeah,
I mean, you'll definitely see X out there. And I thought he gave a real spark to the entire team, to the entire stadium, just being tough to tackle, being physical, being violent, and popping off that big run. That was huge for the momentum of the game. And you look on that play, Isaiah Centenia and Giovanni Gibson are straining downfield, picking up those key blocks for him after he, made an unbelievable play in the hole to bounce it out and get out there. But just the way that he has been running consistently, physically, running through trash, breaking arm tackles, and being tough to take down. It's awesome. It's the player that he is. He's big. He's strong. I mean, y'all saw he's pretty fast, too. He's talented. And so I'm excited to keep on getting X going.
Good news is it seems like there will be some opportunity. We're going to talk about it throughout the rest of the week, obviously, with OU and Tennessee in the matchup. But it certainly seems, you look at some of the numbers, and obviously we talked about it on Monday. Tennessee hasn't held a conference opponent under 31 points. Obviously, Oklahoma hasn't gotten over 30 points. Something has to give on Saturday.
Yeah, no, I think that's kind of the big storyline. Can Oklahoma find enough points, and can the defense, stop Tennessee? And I think that it's more about the offense. I think that this Oklahoma defense is going to be able to get enough stops. Now, how many is that? I don't know. Like, if you held Tennessee to under 30, you should probably win that game, because I don't think Tennessee's offense is Tennessee's defense is anything spectacular. I mean, like we talked about, I think it was in the rewind, Kentucky was able to move the ball up and down the field. Did. They scored some
Cutter
points.
Bowley threw the ball all over the yard.
Now, you can't turn the ball over. That's one thing. We'll get into some of that, but Tennessee's forced a lot of turnovers. It'd be great if Oklahoma could force one. But
what is that?
Yeah, I know. They've not been able to do it at all this year, really. But if they could win that turnover battle, then obviously you like Oklahoma's chances.
We mentioned Brian Kelly, and obviously the college football world's a little bit turned upside down right now, not because of what happened in Baton Rouge, but what's happening just all over the country. Coach after coach after coach is not even making it to November 1, which is just insane. I'm sure if you're watching this, you're well aware of the openings that are currently out there. You went with a little bit of a bigger picture question with Brent Venables today.
Yeah, because I think it's timely, obviously, with Brian Kelly being fired, but also with so much talk about Brent and his future and what does that look like and what's the standard and the expectation in Oklahoma, you've seen, coaches, whether it's James Franklin at Penn State or even Mike Gundy at Oklahoma State, the winningest coach in program history, he gets fired after just his third game. And then, you've got, Brian Kelly this past weekend, Billy Napier at Florida. It's just it's a very odd time, I feel like, in college football right now, Eddie. And I think largely because the landscape has changed. I think that the donors and the boosters run the show right now. And not that they didn't before. I think at some programs they always have.
Right.
But I think more now than ever, money is power. And, I think a lot of people look around and see what Indiana's doing or some of these other programs that have been able to turn things around very quickly and have success, or even an Ole Miss, right? And they're saying, well, hey, why can't we do that? And they're firing coaches that have maybe been at programs for a while or even not that long. And it's caused this like toxicity, or I don't know what exactly the word is, but I feel like there's more pressure on coaches to succeed now and win now than ever before. And that's an extremely difficult thing to also balance between. I feel like there's more parity than ever before. Like, you're going to lose more games. And so I don't know. It's a very weird time. And, I think Brent, in the way that he talked about it, kind of answered what I was looking for in terms of it's a different world, man. And you better start winning.
Here is Brent Venables answering George's question. You'll hear it, as well as a follow-up from Barry Tramble on his specific job. Is that going to be on the line in his conversations with some of the higher administration at Oklahoma?
We've got a big picture college football question for you. There's been an abnormal amount of quick trigger firings among head coaches this season at major programs, some in the SEC. You saw Oklahoma State, Penn State. I'm wondering, do you think it's a result of the new college football landscape and maybe less patience that programs have to build this thing up, or what do you maybe attribute to some of these mid-season firings, I guess?
Yeah, and I'm not privy to the details of those individual cases, but yeah, this is an anxious time, exciting time, and an anxious time in college football. And there's never been as much disruption as there is today. And every university and fan base, the university-wise, from an administration and leadership, they have their own set of standards and priorities. And so from a fan perspective, man, everybody, they want a piece of that action. And I get it. You see too many programs that have been able to have some success, immediately. And then there's been a lot of programs that have been disrupted that maybe have been used to a level of consistency that maybe they're not experiencing right now. So just an anxious time, a lot of emotion in the moment, and college football has never lacked for emotion and passion. And so I think you're seeing a little bit of that. But as far as those individual cases, I really don't have an opinion, only because I'm not privy to the information, on case by case.
Brent, you personally, you're involved in this too. I mean, you're at a place that has high expectations. Yeah. What's your interaction with the guys who would make that decision? And
what's my interaction?
And what's going on in terms of their expectations and your status and all those things in the context of this crazy fever we seem to be in?
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to maybe ask them. Otherwise, I have constant communication, great support, great guidance, great structures that are in place to help us be successful.
It's a crazy time out there.
Yeah.
Certainly doesn't feel like, I don't think he would sit there and say that he feels pressured by Eddie Beans. I don't think he'd say that on a Tuesday afternoon, but I think it's obvious. You got to win some football games to close the season.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, obviously you can't lose out, right? That would be a disaster. And then we probably would be talking about, the tough decisions that might be made. But if you can go and find your way to 9-3, that would be awesome. Even 8-4, I think that he's probably in a good spot, and you can kind of, I know a lot of people out there is like, well, 8-4 is not the expectation. That's not what I'm saying, but I do think you can buy in or justify, keeping him and maybe making some other changes or whatever, and then trying to build, let Jim Nagy and his front office go to work. So it's just kind of crazy. Right now you may not feel the pressure, but a month ago, I bet Brian Kelly and James Franklin weren't feeling the pressure either. So you just never know, man, in college football. And like I said, everybody wants to win now. I think everybody's patience is a lot less, and it's just kind of it's a crazy world, man.
And you can turn something around rather quickly with NIL and all that kind of stuff if you hit on the right guys.
You go win this weekend.
Sure.
Turning stuff around.
Sure. 100%. Where they're headed this weekend, Knoxville, obviously there will be some familiar faces. Josh Heupel, Joey Hausley now as the offensive coordinator at Tennessee. Got Landry Jones as I think everybody's seen the screenshot of those guys up in the booth. The guy standing behind him was Seth Luttrell. Obviously, that was kind of a weird ending last year with speaking of people getting fired. Seth Luttrell did get a pink slip from Oklahoma and Brent Venables. Kind of crazy. What'd you say? How long has it been?
It's been a year and 8 days since Seth Luttrell was fired, and obviously, I'm sure that relationship's a little bit sour. You'll hear the clip from Venables, but anytime that you have to fire a coach, especially after 7 games, and I'm sure look, everybody had a hand in the disaster that was last year on offense.
It's been well documented, I think.
I think that a lot of us here probably view it as Seth Luttrell had a big hand in that. I think Jackson Arnold had a big hand in that. The offensive line, obviously. I'm sure from Seth Luttrell's point of view, he thinks that there was a lot of other things that, maybe were out of his control that didn't help either.
No doubt about it. Here is Brent Venables when asked about Seth Luttrell and if it's going to be kind of weird seeing him on Saturday.
Brent, you of course know Seth Luttrell real well. Now you're facing him, he's on the other side. What do you think that dynamic will be like on Saturday?
I don't think there'll be any kind of dynamic between Seth and I. I haven't spoken to him in a long time, but he's doing a great job, obviously, being a part of the offensive staff and the success that they've had this year. But it's never about, two people. This is a player's game and not a coach's game. But he's doing great. He landed right on his feet.
Will be very intriguing to see what happens when we come out on Saturday to Knoxville, Georgia. I do look forward to Neyland Stadium, though. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I can't wait for the dark mode or whatever you call it.
Yeah.
The jerseys, and I guess, does that mean the whole crowd will be wearing black as well?
I think they've been commanded to wear black, yes.
Okay. I guess I didn't know they did that. I would much prefer them wear the orange. I think it's classic. I think it would be a great uniform matchup like we saw 10 years ago when Oklahoma went up there. But I think the crowd's going to be insane. And obviously, you got the big announcers on it with Chris Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit, Holly Rowe. Like, it's a big-time game.
It's a massive game.
Yeah.
And for the obvious reasons, but certainly around these parts to see if Oklahoma can bounce back. They did so against South Carolina on the road.
What if OU blows them out?
All right. That's going to do it for the program here. A William and Lauren practice report. We'll be back on Wednesday for another recap it a little bit more, talking to Ryan Foje, who we talked to on Monday night, as well as a little bit more from Brent Venables and just kind of cleaning things up because obviously, as we saw at the beginning of the program, they cannot line up offsides, which it's funny, but it isn't funny because we've covered and discussed what happened after that.
We should just start
Thomas
showing up to the press conferences and just telling Brent what they should and shouldn't do.
I think there's a lot of people out there that would like that. For George Stoya, I'm Eddie Radosevich. We'll see you back here on the SoonerScoop.com YouTube channel.